All right. Welcome to the Indie Corner After Dark, where we not only talk about all things independent comics, but everything comics. I'm Mikey.
I'm Rebecca.
And today, people, are back at it again with episode 4 of the podcast. We apologize for, putting this, not posting content for a little bit, but hopefully the clips have helped. I've worked really hard on those, so hopefully they've helped. But yeah, we're going to be back at it with another episode talking about, doing a review for the latest Disney Plus MCU show, Miss Marvel. And yeah, I'm excited to get into this. We got a lot to talk about, hopefully. So yeah, so we'll get right into it. So if you watched the last episode that we did, I believe it was episode 3, where we talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about Miss Marvel, Black Adam, Gotham Knights, the good Gotham Knights, and the bad Gotham Knights. We kind of gave our first impressions of it, because when we usually start doing reviews like this, we should do like a first impressions and then all that stuff. But we already gave our first impressions in that episode. So if you want to give our thoughts on we thought on episode 1 and what our expectations were going into the show, go to that episode. I'll put the thingy in the corner, so you guys can click on that and check it out. But yeah, we'll just get right into it, Rebecca. So to start off, what did we like about Miss Marvel going into it? So we'll start there. All right.
All right. Overall, I like the show just like in general. I think it has a lot of really strong supporting cast, like everyone in the family and the friends. I don't dislike any of them. I think they're all fun characters to watch. And I like when they're all together, especially when they're in Jersey City, just hanging out and doing stuff. And I would say going on adventures, but they're not really going on adventures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, though. And going off that, I really like the dynamic she had with her family.
For sure. I mean, that's the thing. I was also one of my favorite things. Well, granted, I'll say what I liked. It was just, let's start off just like Iman Vellani's performance. I love her as the character. It is adorable. It is very cute. She, as I said in the last episode we did when we talked about Miss Marvel, she is the character. She embodies the character so much, pretty well, pretty accurately to the comics, that I said again, if this role was made for her. But I mean, I love the character. I love how she interprets her own world, how she interprets the world around her, the friendship aspect of it, how her dynamic with her friends. And also I have a slide here just to show that the dynamic with her friends, the dynamic with her family. I think it's very well done. Bruno, Nakia, I think that friendship is so on point. Even what's her name? Their interaction, especially in the first 2 episodes, their interaction with the popular girl Zoe, I think that's really fun. It's very. I was worried that this show could easily get very CW-y really quickly, but frankly, because there's 6 episodes, they kind of do a good job of establishing the characters and their motivations and the dynamic between Kamala and her friends. I thought that was really good. And also, yeah, what did you say?
I was gonna say I like everyone enough that I would have been fine if they didn't have that section where they go to Pakistan and they just kept it in Jersey City.
Yeah, that's true.
I like seeing everyone and I like seeing them interact.
Yeah, for sure. And also again, as you see on the slide, her family. I love her family dynamic. It is so relatable, especially to me. Being when you're being a first generation myself. Because I'm in the first I don't know, couple episodes, few episodes. There's definitely a conflict between her mother and her and her mom. The fact that her mom and her don't really seem to connect very well, because you have an immigrant Pakistani mother raising a Pakistani American daughter. There's some conflict because how they're not usually how brought up, not how she's being raised, but how their environment that they've both grown up in are completely different. So there's going to be some conflicts due to beliefs and all that stuff, which I thought was really great. And how to go about things. Her dad, Abu, I loved him. He's such a sweetheart. Oh my gosh.
I liked how even when her family didn't get her, Like they were still trying to be supportive of her. Like
That's
in
true.
the first episode when they have like the whole costumes, like, oh, you can go with your dad. Like I thought that was so sweet.
It was so sweet, but then like again, like when Kamala is just like, you know, no, like no, that's lame. Like it's like damn, but like she's being a teenager, so like obviously she's not gonna like going with her parents.
But, like, they were trying.
They were trying, and it's like it's damn, like they're trying to go, they're trying to connect with her that way. And I thought it was really sweet, and it's like but yeah, and like her brother, because I forget the brother's name. I don't know if you can help me out with Rebecca, but I love the brother and his dynamic as well. Especially because he was getting married, which I mean, and we'll talk about the wedding because I love the wedding so much. But I loved the brother sister dynamic between them. I thought it was very funny and just like very charming. And yeah, like I loved those. I think the friendship dynamic and the family dynamic were I think the best part about the show for me and the character. It was just it was very relatable. And as you can see here on the presentation, I put a little image from the comic because just to expand on that, I feel like Kamala, in terms of like her relationships in the show, she got options to choose from. You know what I mean? Because she got Bruno, who is like, you know, the best friend who clearly has a crush on her and likes her throughout the show. And then the comics here, they actually end up getting together. So I hope that happens at some point. Kamala doesn't deserve him because he does so much for her. She doesn't really she doesn't really acknowledge it till the very end of the show, which is like kind of fucked up. But then, you know, she also has.
I think you're projecting a little there.
No. But she also has Kamran, who's the new character that's introduced in episode 1 and 2, I believe. Who ends up, you know, being a part of the villains, which we'll talk about. Having him as a potential love interest, and also also Red Dagger, who showed while she's in Pakistan. So I thought it was very nice, you know, because like, you know, she's a teenager, like, you know, she's gonna have, you know, connections with other boys and be attracted to other boys, and all that. That was really nice. It's kind of relatable in that sense. That's why I put that up there. But yeah, that's one thing that we liked. I'll put in the next slide just to, you know, to keep it going. But I loved the representation of you know, Desi culture, but mostly like Pakistani culture, Muslim culture. I was, again, when I watched it up those following episodes, you know, when I was very impressed by Marvel that they weren't holding back on, you know, representing the culture. I was very happy to see it. Especially like, you know, the first few episodes where we get the dynamic of, you know, Kamala and Nakia going to their local mosque in Jersey City, and how you know, how the women, you get the female perspective, what it's like to be at a mosque. I thought was very interesting, and how, like, you know, when in Muslim culture, people that don't know, when you're at a mosque and you see it in the show, men and women are always separated. In terms of, because they in Muslim culture, it's a form of like decency that men and women don't really, in terms of prayer and all that stuff, don't really interact. You know, and they also have their own separate locker rooms, changing rooms, all that stuff. I loved how, you know, they showed that the men's side is always more well kept than the women's side, which is like kind of unfortunate, but unfortunately it's the truth. But at the same time, women like Nakia like to have an opportunity to step up in their Muslim communities, because I think she becomes the one of the a council member in their mosque, which I thought was very dope. You know, and then we get the Eid festival. I thought that was really nice, and now we get to learn more about, you know, the cultural dynamics. You know, I love the whole, like, the cliques. I don't know if you remember the clique part.
Yeah.
I thought it was so great how they have, like, you know, the very like douchebag jockey kids, the techie kids, the Illuminantes. I love the Illuminantes just because, you know, like, cause in African culture and like Desi culture, it's like, I'm not saying it's the same, but it's like very similar, because I could also say I also have a clique of very trifling, facetious aunties that always love to gossip and spread rumors around. So I loved that a lot. And I thought it was I thought like showing the culture, especially like the wedding. I thought the wedding was so much fun, and the dancing ceremony that they had was great. The fact that they incorporated Bruno, because Bruno, even though he's a white boy, he's so close to the family. So I love how they incorporated him into that as well. And yeah, but also unfortunately in terms of showing like that the positive sides of the community, in terms of then showing the negative sides due to like the unfortunate prejudice and profiling of the Muslim community through the damage control, which I thought was great. And because we're so used to seeing when we saw damage control, I believe in Homecoming and all that, how even though they claim to be doing positive stuff, they also unfortunately are doing the negative here in terms of the racial profiling and the prejudice treatment of the Muslim community. So yeah, what are your thoughts on all this? Wonderful representation, Rebecca.
I mean, I'm a white person, as
Word.
you know.
Yeah.
So I don't have experience with like a lot of this outside of media,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting to see, because in my everyday life, I don't learn about stuff like this, and I'm sure this is still like, a somewhat Disney-fied version.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I like that they weren't afraid to like talk about some of these issues,
Mm-hmm.
and show off some of the culture and like the cliques and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I think the like world of Jersey City that she's in with like her community and stuff like that, I think that's like the really interesting part, and I want to see like more of that world in the next season or movie or whatever they're gonna do.
Yeah, true. But yeah, so yeah, for sure. Anything is like, I don't know. I mean,
also wait, I have a question real quick.
What's up?
Is Damage Control owned by Tony Stark, or did he just start it?
I don't know if it's owned by. I don't know if he owned it.
I just need to know so I can add it onto my Iron Man is a war criminal list.
Oh, really? I mean, I'm not really sure. I mean, in terms of the comics, it's more of like a Shield thing. But in terms of the MCU, I think he owns it. I think he owns it. Either no. Because I feel like it's a government sanctioned organization. So like maybe he started it and then just the government just kept track of it and just kept it, financed and all that stuff. After he passed.
I don't know, but again, not looking so great for this.
It's not looking so good for Tony Stark. But yeah, man, I loved it. I loved the whole especially in terms of like the cultural stuff and representation in Jersey City, in terms of like Muslim culture there. I loved that. I also my favorite, one of the characters I did appreciate a lot was the Sheikh, the head of the mosque. I thought he was great. I don't remember his name, but I thought he was fun, especially like when his banter. I loved his banter with with Damage Control. I thought it was so savage. Like
I also liked at the end how he's on TikTok now.
Yeah, he's on TikTok and he's like I'm a hot dog now. I hope this hot dog is halal. I thought that was great. But yeah, like I enjoyed seeing the representation here, but like it also like they didn't hold back on the prejudice side of because this is unfortunate community that's been
historically targeted.
Yeah, hysterically targeted and ridiculed since 9/11. So it's so bad, and especially because the one of the female damage control agent, she was calling them like you people and just like walking on the carpet with her shoes on, which is what you do not do at Moss. That's super disrespectful. And I just like I like how they weren't holding back on that front. Yeah. It was pretty good, and also the how the male agent who is I believe he's in a part of that community in real life. So I'm just seeing like how he's a part of that. He's a part of the authority, but also a part of that community at the same time. I wish they didn't brush on that much. They kind of alluded to it, but like I hope I wish they added a little bit more to that. But it's hearsay. It's here, there, no there. At least they brushed upon it in general. But yeah, so that's one thing I did like. And do you have anything to say on just like the Jersey City aspect of like the community and all that, or are you good?
I think I've kind of said everything I had to say about it right now.
Got you. I also do like the fact that because one of my favorite moments in like this, I think it was the second episode where they go to the party, or was it the first? I don't remember.
Well, like there's a festival.
No, like the actual no Zoe's party that she threw. Yeah, it was the second episode. Where like we first get introduced to Kamran, where he jumps in the fucking pool and then he comes out and is like, obviously it's Kamala's perspective, so like you see all like the hearts and all that stuff, and then you just see her and Nakir just like, oh, mashallah, I love that so much. I was like, that's hilarious. Like they're introducing the Arabic words within there too. Like I love that. I loved it so much. So yeah, just that's all I gotta say just for now. Obviously, if we have any more, we'll bring it up. So to move on, we'll talk about like what we like the Pakistan stuff in terms of that. Because in the if you see here, like my favorite thing about the Pakistan stuff, not only we got to learn more about Kamala's, her family and her family history, but also like we got introduced to the Red Dagger Society, which I was really dope. Because in the comics it was a bit different because Red Dagger wasn't like there was no Red Dagger Society. It was just Red Dagger was Pakistan's superhero that Kamala ended up interacting with when she visited to see her family in Pakistan. And like who I loved that character. I thought it was really good. And as you see here, he managed to come and visit her in Jersey. I thought was great. And yeah, I love the whole Red Dagger Society. I love the Red Dagger character we see here, who's played by my boy Armis Knight. I did not expect to see him in here. Turns out, because I'm a fan of his from the show Into the Badlands, which you can watch on Netflix. It's like a martial arts Western show. It's so sick. It was on AMC for a while, and it ended like a few years ago. He was one of the main characters in that show. I had no idea he turns out he's half Pakistani, so that's why it makes sense why they casted him. I loved his interaction with Iman Vellani in the show. I love the whole he was badass, with the martial arts and the fighting and the whole Red Dagger Society type angle that they were doing with they're the enemies of the villains, the clandestine, which we'll talk about in a bit. And yeah, I thought it was dope. I love the fact that my favorite thing about the whole Pakistan stuff is like something I really related to. Like when Kamala goes to Pakistan, like she feels at home, like, being there because it's her culture. Everyone looks like her, all that stuff. So like, it's something I can relate with every time I visit, Tanzania or Malawi. I always feel that way. Like, even though I was raised in the States, when I come home, I feel at home. If I feel the culture, I feel, not like you feel like a foreigner, but you kind of don't, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, so I love that So I love that whole interaction and experience for her when she was in Karachi, and how Red Dagger was kind of not only like a friend that she could, make while she was like, that made her feel like herself, but also a friend that she could relate to in her situation due to him being a part of this Red Dagger organization. So
yeah, he's kind of like a mentor in a way, and I like that he kind of like took her under the wing, like, oh, these are my friends, but you can like hang out with us and stuff like that. I really like that moment.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they're like sitting by the fire eating biryani. Like, oh Lord, I love biryani too. We're not gonna have a discussion of how much I love biryani and how much my family's obsessed with biryani, but like biryani,
that's a separate podcast.
Exactly. But yeah, so I love that angle that they took. But the Karachi stuff with her nani, her grandmother, that was really nice, and like her finding out like the grandmother's backstory. But here's the thing, like what really opened my eyes was the whole thing about the history of Pakistan itself in terms of like partition and when it was occupied by the British and it became separated from India and all that. That was history I had no idea about. So I loved how, again, Marvel didn't hold back in terms of like the representation and the history, in terms of like actually showcasing partition in the show and like how that relates to Kamala's ancestry and family, but also like how it incorporates, the jinn and where her powers come from. I thought it was really cool. What were your thoughts on that angle that they took with the whole partition aspect of things in the show?
Kind of like you said, I don't really know like historically too much about it outside of like what was shown in the show.
Yeah, true.
I this is kind of getting away from that a little bit.
Yeah, true.
I like how when Kamala like travels back in time briefly, like she's the one who saves her grandma.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was just like super emotional that day for some reason, but I was like almost cried. I was like, oh, she saved her, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
But I thought it was really sweet and how it ties back into like, I guess, a theme of like family and how you have to be there for your family to like protect them, and like something about like helping the next generation, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
I also thought the romance between like the great grandma and the great grandpa was cute.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, what's her name? I'm forgetting characters' names. Damn it. I think her name's Asha. Aisha. There you go. Aisha and her husband who ends up becoming the great grandfather. I thought it was so nice, and then like it was very tragic when Aisha unfortunately died by the clandestine woman. I forget her name as well.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that I like in this show, and we'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about this in a few minutes, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like a lot of the good is kind of weighed down by the bad. The bad being the clandestines kind of sucking.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I thought that the relationship between her great grandparents were great, but also was kind of tried at the fact that like he never saw her again. Like and it kind of sucks that like from what Kamala's mother and like the community told about Kamala's grandmother, that like she just disappeared. No, like she unfortunately died like protecting her family, and like and they'll never know that.
Yeah, but I think that kind of relates back to like real life, like you're having the separation of families, and I'm sure for a lot of people they did never see like a loved one again.
Yeah, that's true. And the fact that they one of the things that Amir, who's the brother, I just remembered his name, did say that like every single family, every Pakistani American family has a partition story, which is it's tragic. It's very tragic. And the fact that I think what her grandmother did say that was really interesting. The fact that like where her passport says that she's from Pakistan, but her heart says it's from India. So like knowing the fact the whole separation of families thing, and the fact that like you have a country of people that feel displaced but yet have come to their own is very it's very interesting, So I love the fact that they touched on all this stuff. But yeah, man, I love the whole Red Dagger shit and the Pakistani stuff. I thought it was very good. In terms of the stuff that I liked. But yeah, anything else you want to talk about, like what we liked? Yes. I will say this though, in terms of like now to like get to more of the superhero stuff. Because remember we just said that like when we first saw their use of her powers, we thought they were a little bit like weird and like just they didn't look right. But then further on in the show, like from episode to episode, it got better. Like it got a lot better actually, I think.
Yeah. I just wish with that she was doing more like, even though I said it looks weird, I wish she was doing more like stretchy stuff than just like firing out like whatevers.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that moment in the last episode where she's like embiggen, like it's supposed to be like building to something, but you don't really see her like trying to do it enough for it to be like a moment,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but there were some. And though I will say this one thing though, there wasn't enough like action in terms of like in some things with the powers, but like I feel like that they kind of built that up towards the end. But I thought her powers looked good. And I do like the fact that like they're not like Green Lantern. They kind of are, they kind of aren't. Where like in terms of the look, like they're more like crystals than like hard light constructs. I thought that was really cool.
I mean, it looks better than if they had tried to go like full. These are made of like skin,
Skin. No, but I did say this. I keep saying this, but like I feel like it still could have worked because every time she stretches in the comics, it has a golden aura around her body. So like I feel like you could have gotten away with that, So
I think you could have gotten away with it. I just think it would have been like harder to get used to.
That's true. But yeah, man.
But one thing I want to talk about real quick before we like move on.
Yeah.
Her suit in this show looks so good. It's so
incredible. Cute. It is incredible. And I mean it bothered me a lot because I was just like, the fact that we're only going to get this in the last episode. But when we did saw it and we got the whole episode, almost the whole episode filled with scenes of her in the suit, it looks incredible.
Honestly, I think it's probably one of the like top 5 in the MCU.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love, and my favorite thing about it is I think it's like I rewatched last episode today, so like the fact that, so I just touched on it. I love the fact that it was a gift from her mom. Like the fact that her mom, it was. I think it's like, and it was a really good character arc. The fact that like in the beginning of the episode, the beginning of the season, she has a very disconnect with her mom, and then towards the end, you see the growth, and like obviously when she reveals the fact that she has abilities, she reveals the fact that like she is a kind of like a superhero and that she's Nightlight, and her parents are supporting of it. She ends up making a suit for her daughter to show that support and that she cares and that she's trying to make that connect. I thought it was so touching.
I like that it comes back to that parallelism with the first episode where she gives her like the whole costume and she rejects it, but this one she like accepts.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like and actually I'll put up an image real quick just so like we could so I'll stop screen sharing real quick so we can like actually like see it. But it's I love the sometimes Marvel costumes can be a little bit overdone. Thor Love and Thunder. But I love the fact that like they're able to take the simplified look from the comic and then add a lot more detailing and all that stuff to it. So yeah, like it looks so good. Like it's incredible. And I love how the red dagger scarf is what inspired her to have the red scarf. And
yeah, I like that part.
Yeah, like listen, man, I loved it, but it's a shame. And it's a shame, and I said this, or I remember I mentioned it last time, and I kind of confirmed it when I found the leaked photos of it. But like they're changing the suit for the Marvels, and it looks completely different, and I don't like it. If it like
that is a shame. It looks so good, and I feel like the stills don't really do it justice because it looks so much better in action.
That's true. Like I feel like this is one of the suits in the MCU that shouldn't change. It should just remain the same because it looks so good.
Sometimes you get it right the first time.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but actually, and I love, and to talk about more of like because obviously she's a fangirl of the Captain Marvel character in the MCU, which again is one of my favorite things about her, and we kind of touched on that when we did the last episode. But I love the fact that because in the comics, the whole Miss Marvel persona was originally Carol Danvers. That logo was a Carol Danvers thing for a while until she became Captain Marvel. I love the fact that, and it was established in episode 5 when her mother takes her necklace and her that says Kamala on it. I think Kamala in Arabic, and it's broken and makes the symbol. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that like this logo in the MCU is completely Kamala. It has nothing to do with Carol Danvers. Like it's completely her own. So like I love that they changed that. So
I hadn't thought about that till you said it, but when you say it like that, I do like it.
Yeah, for sure. It's completely Kamala's own thing, and which I mean, listen, branding. Branding is important. So you can have that connect with Captain Carol Danvers, which she has it in the name, but I love the fact that the logo is completely her own, and I just think it's I think it's great. But I have the image up, so I will screen. But yeah, I want to get your. So you have never seen this before, right?
Never seen what?
The leaked photo for what the new suit looks gonna look like. All right, prepare to be disappointed. But yeah, so this is some set photos of if people haven't seen it, of the Iman Vellani on set for the Marvels. I think they shot last year. But yeah, this is what the suit looks like now.
Oh.
So what tell me about what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, it's okay. It's not the worst suit I've ever seen, but I don't think it's as good as the one we were just looking at.
Exactly.
Like this one's clearly more like in line with Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like we're gonna talk about what happened at the end with the post-credit scene, but like this is more of like a space-oriented suit.
Yeah. Like I don't hate the design. I think it's a cool suit. I just think her other suit suits her,
That's true. And obviously you can tell this is more like Captain Marvel centric because there's a lot more red in this one than the last one. So that's more aligned with like Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel's color scheme, with more emphasis of red and like the little like stuff with the blue, a little bit of blue. But yeah, I mean, listen, it'll probably, this is just a set photo. It'll probably look better once we actually see like actual footage and we get the VFX and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, listen, we like the regular costume better. That's all we gotta say. But hopefully this is temporary, and
like,
they won't.
Like I said, it's not bad. It's a cool alternate skin, you know.
It's a cool alternate skin. But yeah, I'm just saying. Like, I hope that like it's temporary for the movie. Like it has an actual purpose for the film. But then then she goes back to the regular costume. You know.
Yeah.
So
plus, it would just feel like a waste if you only have a costume for like one episode and you never use it again.
That's true. That's true.
Like for the main costume.
Yeah. But yeah. But yeah. So we'll talk about what we didn't like, and then we'll go into like favorite moments, I guess, because I also have some favorite moments. But yeah. So for what we didn't like of the show, and I'm gonna put this slide up because it's a clear indicator of what we didn't like, and Rebecca already said it earlier. Yeah, man. The villains, the clandestine people. They're not the best. They're not the best villains. I mean, I thought their introduction was pretty interesting because obviously we didn't and we were introduced to them in episode 2. Kamran's mother, because Kamran, who becomes the potential love interest for Kamala, and we were introduced in the season, and we see Kamran's mother, who Kamala saw when the Bengal got all weird when she kept seeing visions. Originally, the actress who plays what's her name? The actress who played Kamran's mother, I originally thought that was supposed to be Kamala's great grandmother, Aisha, Najma, who is who Kamran's mother. Because remember we saw that little vision when she was trying to save the kid at the mosque during Eid, and we see Najma. I thought it was originally Kamala's. That was supposed to be Kamala's grandmother, but it was revealed to be Kamran's mom. Because listen, man, the clandestine are that's like I thought the Inhumans were a deep cut, but no, they're the deepest cut in Marvel Comics.
I don't even think it was meant to be a cut. I think they just were like, we need a name that's like in the comics that nobody cares about.
I mean, yeah, it's true. But the thing is, like, the clandestine are basically like they're the bootleg Inhumans, which is crazy because the Inhumans are the bootleg X-Men. So it's the bootleg's bootleg. They were introduced. I'm gonna look up the series because but yeah, they were introduced in they were created by Alan Davis in 1994, and they had their own series, I think in like 2008. I could be wrong, but yeah, man, they're more of the from what I did in my research, they're more of the genie. They're like a group of like mythological creatures, so like genies and jinn. So obviously, in terms of the show, the clandestines in this case they're from another dimension, but they refer to commonly as jinn in Muslim mythology and Muslim mythology and Muslim and the Muslim culture. And thing is, like, when they're first introduced, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like this is a deep ass cut, the clandestine. But the thing is, like, it kind of put me a little bit like, okay, kind of, it was a little off-putting because the jinn are mostly, like, in terms of Muslim culture, they're mostly like a negative thing. They're like bad omens, basically. Like being a jinn isn't really a good thing. So I was worried that they're gonna obviously, like, Kamala is a descendant of a jinn. She's gonna be more of the good jinn, the one good jinn. And I love the fact that, like, they didn't it was obviously like, they were gonna end up being bad and to as an homage to the jinn's negative connotations in Muslim culture. So I love that they went that route with it. But unfortunately, man, like, they're a bit boring. I don't know about you. Like, they're kind of boring. Like, it's just,
I still don't fully understand what they were trying to accomplish. Like I know they wanted to go home, but outside of that, I don't know.
Yeah, like it was just like their whole motivation was they were trying to go home, but then like with that's why they needed the bangles. The bangle which obviously Kamala had, which unlocked her powers, which belonged to her great grandmother Aisha. But then like you know obviously the conflict with that is like they can't simply just go home. If they go home, it's gonna the Nor, which is their dimension, and also the barrier that separates the Nor dimension and the R dimension. If it was cracked open, it would basically like I don't know blow up Earth or destroy destroy their dimension. It wasn't really explaining very well, even when they're in Pakistan and like they were in the Red Dagger Society and they had that convenient hologram presentation. It still wasn't explained very well.
No.
So
and then they open the portal and they die. And then the
yeah,
portal closes. So it's like, what was the point of that? You know?
Yeah.
I feel like Damage Control was supposed to be like the villain throughout the series. And then they like switched it like at some point.
Yeah, and I said this when we did that last episode. Like I thought they were gonna be the villains throughout the whole series.
I feel like it would have been stronger if they were.
Yeah,
because the clandestine didn't do anything.
Yeah, it would have definitely been stronger if they were the villains for the whole series. And then, you know, obviously in terms of like obviously the commentary that we talked about earlier, but it just so that like you know we had to have a villain that was tied to Kamala's origin of her abilities. But then you know they didn't really do much, and then the DOD was put to the side to the very end, basically. So it was unfortunate, but I did like the fact that like we know like Kamala had this like I like the whole change with the Kamala's powers are from the clandestine dimension, but then obviously we're gonna talk about the whole theory, the whole new thing that everyone's freaking out about. So we'll get into that. But yeah, I just thought they were kind of wasted. But then granted, in the comics they're also wasted. So I mean, it fits. So
I don't know if I'd call that wasted. Then I think it's okay to just say they're bad.
Yeah, true. But yeah, the clandestine, yeah, they were a thing. They happened. It's whatever. Yeah. Do you have anything? But I do say though, I do like, even like, what were your thoughts on the Kamran character, because he kind of ended up being like not really like a villain, but like a pseudo villain, especially to the last episode when he finds out about like his mom's death and all that. Like, what do you think? Do you think his character arc was pretty solid in terms of being the only clandestine character left besides Kamala?
I like that he was like nice to Kamala and was like trying to help her out and like not let his mom kill her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when they leave him behind, he's not really doing anything, and then we back up with him like a few episodes later, and he's like not like bad, but like you know he's going through it.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't understand why he got the powers. I guess because his mom like died again.
It's not really explained well.
Again, I feel like it wasn't very clear what the fuck happened in that whole section.
Yeah, because his mom goes to the portal and is like, I know what to do. And she just says her son's name and then he immediately just like gets powers.
I thought that she was gonna like possess him or something. I thought that's what was happening at first.
Okay.
But I don't really I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he's like a villain in the comics, right?
No. He's actually I believe I don't think he is. I think he's more of a, he was actually the love interest. He was a love interest in the comics as well. He was actually an Inhuman, along with Kamal. He was caught in the whole Terrigen bomb post the Infinity event. So yeah, he was an Inhuman, and he was more of like a love one of the Kamal's love interests, and they had adventures with. His powers were obviously very different. He was basically Gambit. He can just charge things up with the kinetic energy and make them explode.
Okay.
But he had like a blue aura. He had a blue, he had like a blue form with him. So like that was kind of the blue the blue look was a nod to that. But yeah, what were you saying?
I was gonna say I don't really like the second he like becomes like a villain at the end. I get that he's like stressed out of like going through stuff, but I would have preferred like if it was like something a little different. I don't really know. I kind of lost the train of thought on that.
Yeah, true. I mean, yeah, they were I mean, yeah, like it seemed like, you know, like it was a bit.
I feel like they're setting him up to do like something with him, but I don't know what exactly.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just like I feel like they were trying to go something like, oh, like he's just gonna have a bad moment real quick, but he's gonna go back to being good, because they were trying to basically, like, again with that commentary show that, like, you know, uh the like a Muslim being portrayed as like, or an Arab person being portrayed as a terrorist, like that was kind of a thing what they were going for with that
Yeah.
final battle scene. But yeah, the thing is, like, I think what Kamala said when when she made that really cool dome, how like her mom was like, oh, like my mom was right, like this place is my home, they're not gonna accept us here, all that stuff. I'm just like, since when did you care about, like, it was never, when were the clandestine ostracized? Like, I didn't, when was that happening? Like, I didn't, that wasn't really addressed in the show. And then like the call, I was like, "Well, your mom saved the world for you." But I'm like, did she though? Like, I don't know. Like, it was very unclear. So, but yeah, the clandestine, just to close off this thought, the clandestine were pretty the weakest part about it for me.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I think all of the problems that the show has just stem from them being there and being boring and confusing.
Yeah, yeah, and this like, some of the writing is some of the writing, not all of it, but like some of the writing is a bit weak. A bit weak. I mean, obviously with the clandestines were like took the biggest hit when it came to the writing. But yeah, there's some moments with the writing where it's just like, this doesn't make any sense, or like this is a little bit weak. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, anything you want to say on what you didn't like, just outside of if you have anything thoughts on like outside of the clandestines, what you didn't like, or
I think that was pretty much it.
Gotcha. Obviously we'll say more stuff throughout the podcast. But yeah, so other than that, do you have any favorite episodes? My favorite episodes, I think, are episode 2 and the last one. Episode 2, episode 4, and the last one. Episode 5 I thought was the weakest out of them all. But
as like complete episodes, I think the first and last ones were probably the strongest for me.
Okay, really? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the last episode, again, there's so much to unpack from the last episode. If you want to talk about that last episode really quickly, and this will kind of go on to like, I guess, like favorite moments, as well. I love the fact that, in terms of like their plan, like the plan, thing is like, I love how Kamala, and this is it's so after the character, how, you know, she uses science to like get out of situations. Like, I love the whole plan that her and her brother and like her friends come up with it, like to save Kamran from the DOD, from damage control. That was so great. They did the whole let's see, like the whole, you know, the phone thing that's been going around, that little dumb thing that everyone's been doing. I love how they did that. I thought it was so fun. Like how they use science to like get out of a bind, which is so Kamala.
I liked with the last episode how even though they were facing like a serious kind of threat, they had like fun like beating them. I thought that was like a really cool element of the show. I like that it was kind of goofy.
That's true. I also like Amir showing up out of nowhere and be like, I'm a part of this plan now, guys. Hello. It was so funny. Like, you know, yeah, but and I also like that one scene that, like you said, that one of those moments made you cry. One moment that made me cry, I loved the fact that when Kamran escapes and like the damage control is about to close up Kamala, the whole community like goes around her to protect her. I love that. I was like, oh, that's so nice. But also seeing like, you know, Kamala and Kamran getting like their asses beat at one point in public while the community's watching, and you see like her parents like literally like freaking out, being like, Kamala, like it was so sad. I was like, it's so tragic, but like that moment where they're all protecting her, like this is our hero, and like a TikTok montage of following that one, I thought that was so touching and so sweet. You know, I thought it was so good that like there are really good moments in this show. There's such good moments in this show. What did you think about obviously we're gonna go to last episode stuff, but you can talk about anything from the season. But like, what did you think about how her father basically giving Kamala the inspiration for her name? I loved that a lot. I thought it was a bit corny, but I loved it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little forced how it's like, oh, Kamala means like Marvel when like Marvel isn't really a word you use a whole lot in English, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
I feel like Wonder would be the one you go to since you said like both of those. But like,
yeah.
I thought it was a sweet moment. I like the like intent behind it.
Yeah, like it was the intent behind it was great. The obviously but I like the fact that he could have. It would have been worse if he means oh your name just means Marvel. Like he just should have just said it. Like your name means Marvel. No, I like how he said like oh
Kamala, you're the Miss Marvel.
Yeah, like Kamal means like how we said it means like wonder. Like he was using other words, but then said like Marvel was the best one to go with. So if he didn't do that, it would have been way worse in my opinion, and way more cheesier. But yeah, but I love the fact that like again she's just like. I share the same name with freaking Carol Danvers. He's like, I have no idea who that is, but sure. I thought it was so nice. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a really nice. Again, her parents being the best parents, and the fact that like mom gave her the costume, dad gave her the name. It's great. Like I thought it was so sweet. Yeah, like I don't know any other moments or like things in the episodes like that you thought were great. Okay, I don't know why. One of my favorite things about the episode 2 is when she finds out she has powers and she walks into high school with mad confidence and freaking Feel So Good by Maze is playing and she's just like being all cool. I thought it was so great. I was like, this is so good. Like this is such cheesy high school shit. I love it.
Nothing can beat the confidence of like a high school girl when she's like found herself,
That's true. Even
if it's cringy, like there's no stopping them.
That's true. Like it's just, I thought it was so good. I that's one of my favorite parts of the show is just like, just her being confident, just being like, hey, what's up? How you doing? And just like, correcting the teacher, oh, it's not Kamala, it's Kamala. I loved that so much. And it's so good. But yeah, I don't know. I just there's a lot of good stuff in here. I don't know. We have anything other? I don't know why I'm blanking. I love the show so much, and I'm blanking.
There's a lot of good moments here. Kind of like I said in the beginning, like basically any time when she's with her family and her friends, like there's a lot of good moments there.
That's true. Yeah, it's all so good. It's all so good, man. Like that. It's very good moments, very touching moments, very tragic. It's just like that's so sad moments. I will say I don't know if this like goes into like theories or not, but I do like I don't know if you know this, because I don't know if you read the comics, but I love the interaction between in the last episode, Nakia and Zoe. They kind of end up getting like there's a little bit of a kindling of a friendship going on there between them because Zoe Nakia hates Zoe. In the earlier on, but then they end up becoming a little bit more kind of like friends. Like or earlier you see something there a little bit because in the comics,
the seed is planted.
Yeah, the seed is planted. Like because in the comics, like Bruno and Kamal end up getting together at some point. Nakia and Zoe actually end up being a couple and end up getting in a relationship. I think so. I hope that ends up happening, and they kind of planted the seeds for it. Especially like when they're talking in the locker room and then they were on the TikTok. I think it'd be cool.
I did laugh a little bit when she's on TikTok. She's like, as like an ally, I gotta like platform
Yeah, you're freaking.
I don't know why that just made me laugh a little bit.
Yeah, because she's a white savior. She's a white savior complex. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of good stuff to pick in the show. I don't know why I'm blanking. Maybe we'll think of stuff when we talk about more stuff, when theories and whatnot.
I feel like a lot of the interactions are just like so solid that it's hard to pick like one that stands out.
That's true. That's very true. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll move on. We think of anything, we'll go back to it. But
one thing I did like one scene.
What's up?
I think it was in episode 5. Yeah, when she like they beat the like quintessence or whatever, and she's like got the photo and she's like showing her like grandma. I like that scene a lot.
Oh, it was very touching. Yeah, because like her grandmother didn't really have anything, like any photo or memorabilia besides. I think that there was like a painting of her of
She didn't have any
Aisha.
photos of her mom, and then it was a photo of all three of them.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
so
that was
good.
cute.
It's so cute. Also, like I don't know why it's popped up, but like her wearing jeans to the to that barbecue or that gathering, which is a mistake I've made plenty of times in very hot environments, wearing jeans at when you go out. If for anyone who travels to any place in Africa or India or Pakistan, any of those places, or in the any Arab countries, don't wear jeans. It's fucking torture. Don't do it. So I loved that little like tidbit there. Just like, oh, she's wearing jeans, first mistake. Yeah, there's some good ones. Maybe if I remember stuff, we'll talk about it. But yeah. So we'll move on to the theories portion. Obviously, the big theory that's going around that everyone cannot shut the fuck up about is the fact that we get that scene, that post-credit scene, where we get, I think they're saying goodbye to Bruno, because I like Bruno's arc about going to Caltech. I like that little mini arc he had. Cameron gave him their car, gave Bruno his car. They're kind of fighting over it. Bruno mentions to Kamala that Amir, her brother, was talking about, hey, like, he wanted to maybe check that if maybe he had powers or not. So Bruno, I don't know how he did it, but Bruno's a friend of the family, ended up doing tests on each member, on I think her mom, her grandmother, who ends up living with them. I think, yeah, she ends up living with them, and she ended up coming to America at the end of the show, and her mother, and turns out that like they may have gotten the whole thing wrong, that the bangle doesn't really bring it. Does they like her using the Nor and the bangle? It makes sense how like she can use her powers and I was able to wield the Nor and all that stuff. But Kamala has apparently a mutation that separates her from all of her relatives, and we hear the Professor X music, so it's confirmed that Kamala is officially the first confirmed mutant in the Marvel Universe. So Kevin Feige basically said, as you can see here, fuck the Inhumans. She's not an Inhuman, she's a mutant.
That was all three Inhuman fans' last chance at ever getting anything in the MCU, and it's gone now.
The best you got was Blackagar Boltagon showing up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Mediocrity. And like that's all you get. But man, Rebecca, we were talking about a little bit off camera before we started, but what are your thoughts on now? Like, we heard the music, we heard the so like she's a mutant. So like, what are your thoughts on this big reveal?
Well, clearly they're like starting to get ready to do X-Men, so maybe in the future we won't have to hear enhanced as many times,
That's true. Which annoyed me throughout, the phase 2, phase 3, Age of S.H.I.E.L.D. era of MCU, where like
they do that in this too.
Yeah, they do as well. So like, it was nice to hear different words. So I guess I remember you telling this yesterday, like it's gonna just be a new label. They're not so like they're gonna this is the new enhanced.
That's what they say in the show. Like after they say that, she's literally like, "Oh, well, that's just the label. It doesn't." I forget what they say. Like they will never accept me no matter what, or something like that. I don't remember exactly.
It'll probably just be another label. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
So
like, in terms of like her identity, I don't think her being like an Inhuman versus a mutant really matters that much. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, and it's like super integral outside of it being her origin. But like she still has the same powers more or less. Maybe we will get like actual stretchy powers in the future. I don't know.
I don't know either. But yeah, here's the thing. I actually really think this is a good route to take for Kamala. I also said this in the chat. Obviously, it makes sense for her to be a part of the mutant community, because obviously the people who are blind, the mutants have been an allegory for racial injustice in America ever since they've been created. Obviously Kamala comes from a community that's been ridiculed and prejudiced and discriminated against since not the 9/11 era. So it makes sense. It fits. It fits. It makes sense. You know, it's a smart connection to make. So it makes sense for Kamala to be a part of that community. The thing is, like, it's a bit confusing just because, you know, because they established her mostly as a djinn for most of the show. So like, why would you? So like, if you want to make her, if make her immune, be like, why? That's kind of throwing all that stuff away. You know, like is Kamran also a djinn because he is? I would assume is also half human, just like
I
Kamala
think
is.
the implication
So,
is like,
is he mutant? Like, I don't know.
no. Well, I don't know about Kamran, but I was gonna say, like, we know that they're Jinn at the very least. I think mutant is just like an additional thing they're like tacking on because they can, you know?
That's true. I mean, there were cases where, in the comics, there were mutants who also had the Inhuman gene as well. But like, for instance, for example, like Quicksilver in the comics is technically, he's a mutant and he's an Inhuman because he has the Inhuman gene as well. But when he went through the whole Terrigenesis cocoon thing, it just boosted the powers that he already had. He didn't like change or anything like that or get new powers. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah.
so
I mean, Inhuman mutant, they're basically the same thing.
yeah, true. Because I remember there was one movie slash TV review YouTuber that I watch a lot to get their opinion on stuff. She basically hated this idea and was like,
"You're not gonna plug her. You're just gonna say,
yeah, fine, screw it. She's not gonna watch. Who cares? Grace Randolph beyond the trailer, because I watched her review for the episode. She basically was just like, because she's a huge X-Men stan. So like, she basically was like, Kamala is not a mutant. Like, she is an Inhuman. So like, she rather would have preferred. And thing is, like, her character is going more towards, in the MCU, is more going towards the cosmic side of things, due to, like, you know, being a part of, like, you know, the Captain Marvel family, right? The mutants were never a part of the whole Marvel cosmic part of the things. Their own separate bracket in the Marvel universe, even though nowadays, in terms of like the Hickman run of X-Men, they're becoming more enveloped in the more cosmic route of things because they have
how
their own
can they
fucking
like say that though? Like, the Phoenix is literally from outer space.
True. And she doesn't want like Kamala to be a part of the X-Men, which is like, which I literally was like, that's not what they're doing. Like, you can be a part of the mutant community, but and not be an X-Man. Like, she can interact with the X-Men. Like, she can maybe have some interaction with, like, maybe some Wolverine or
I wouldn't have
like,
put
or whatever.
gatekeeping the X-Men on my bingo card, but
That's true. Like, that's true. Like, she can have interactions with X-Men characters, but she doesn't have to be living in the Xavier Institute and flying in the Blackbird.
Have to get the suit.
He doesn't have to get the spandex. Know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, so that's what I think. That's what I think. It's a bit confusing onto like the whole Jinn mutant thing, but like, her being a mutant makes sense with her background as a character, and having her interact with the X-Men, I think would really be fun, because, you know, you have X-Men that are also Avengers as well. So like Wolverine, for example, was an Avenger at some point.
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, and Scarlet Witch as well. So I mean, she's not really a mutant though. So I mean, it kind of changes that
What
shit.
do you mean she's not a? Well, I guess it depends. Like, if you're like, oh, Magneto's like not her dad, but he like kind of is, but he kind of isn't, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, in terms of the MCU, my fault, not the comics. Yeah, like, I think this is a nice change. I hope we get a nice little Xavier interaction. I would love an interaction where like Xavier comes up and like tries to recruit her, and she's like, no, like, I'm loyal to Jersey City. Know what I mean? Like,
I don't think she's gonna end up on X-Men. If anything, I just think it'd be like a cameo, like conversation kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't even expect her to be in a movie. I just want her to be like, she's a part of the mutant community. That's it. But she has her own priorities and is staying in her own lane in terms of either Jersey City or interacting with the whole Captain Marvel family. So I like it. You know, fuck the Inhumans. Like, it's just simple as that. You know, I don't know. Do you have anything else you wanna say on this as a whole, Rebecca? I I hope that like we get some Wolverine and her interacting. I think it'd be fun. I maybe it could be like their version of like Kitty Pryde and Wolverine. Maybe not Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, but like
she like teams up with like Wolverine sometimes.
Yeah, she in her run she had a crossover with Wolverine when he didn't have his during his my healing factor don't work era. So that was really, and it was really fun. It was in her actually in the first volume of her series, and I love that. So yeah, anything else you want to say on this reveal, Rebecca?
I don't think so. Fuck the Inhumans.
True. I'm curious to know though what characters they're gonna make mutants now. Because if they can make her a mutant, what other characters are they gonna switch to be mutants? I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I like the change. So yeah, moving on. So obviously the following the other post credit scene. Well, this wasn't really post credit scene. The mutant reveal wasn't a post credit scene. It was the thing they put in towards the end to finish the show off. At the end, the actual post credit scene, my mistake. So we get a little scene where Kamala is in her room. Mom's telling her to do her homework, and again, love the fact that we already said before. I love the fact that her parents just know that she's a superhero, and I love that they support it. It's great. Her bangle starts to glow a little bit, and then she ends up she stands up, being like, "What's going on?" And she like does this weird shit where she ends up getting like thrown into the fucking closet, and then guess who's in her place? Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers is here now. Obviously, this is going to be a setup to the Marvels because Kamala and as well as Monica Rambeau are going to show up in the Marvels, which I think is I'm looking forward to that movie because I love those two characters. And we just see Brie Larson herself looking confused, and then she's looking around, sees the Captain Marvel fanfare, and it just goes off to the screen in a very like comedic fashion, and the show ends, and it says, Miss Marvel will return in the Marvels. So, Rebecca, what were your first reactions seeing Carol Danvers show up in this?
I didn't really have too much of a reaction. I was kind of just thinking, like, damn, Kamala's just gonna be like off in space somewhere now.
True. I think I was a bit confused because do you think that like she shapeshifted into Carol Danvers? Because again, in the comic,
I think they just switched places. That's
she switched places or did she switch places? Because in the comic, which is a very interesting part of the character, the fact that obviously going with the admiration she has for Captain Marvel, she ends up shapeshifting into into Miss Marvel. Her Miss Marvel era look when she goes through Terragenesis, because it was a good way to show not only is she a fan of the character of it's a role model, she's turning into a role model, but like the expectations of like a brown skinned girl who wants to look a certain way to be accepted in society. That was kind of a little mess allegory for it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I hope, I don't know, it could be either or. I really think it would be a lot better if she shapeshifted.
Why would she like shapeshift into her? Though?
It would be funny. I just think for the Miss Marvel fan in me, I think it would be a lot more fun if she just shapeshifted. But because like which they could do it. Who cares? Like they don't explain this. So like, because like we see her have some of the energy, some of the purple energy that is on her fingertips. We see it on her hands. So they could do it. Like, I don't know.
I don't think they're doing it.
I think it would be funny if you just walked around as Carol Danvers for like a little bit and just confused. But obviously, the big route is like Kamala is probably off in space somewhere, which is crazy. Hopefully, she isn't actually in space and doesn't get like sucked into the vacuum of space and shit and like dies. But
that'd be an interesting way to start the Marvels.
She's just in space and just like, and it's just like, dead. What the fuck? It's just dead. But yeah, I don't know. I know for a fact, let me look up real quick when the Marvels is coming out. I know it comes out next year, but like, I don't know if they have a specific date planned. Yeah, it comes out July 28th, 2023. And it's going to be directed by Nia DaCosta, who I'm a fan of now because she directed the recent Candyman, the Candyman movie that came out like last year.
Oh, yeah. I saw that movie.
It's good, right? It's good stuff.
It was okay. It was really pretty though.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. It was my favorite horror movie of last year. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what's going on with her. What do you think of the new look? Because they changed the. I've been seeing people online. They've been talking about how like they kind of like glammed up Captain Marvel, her look a
They
bit like.
yassified her.
Yeah, because like she's obviously, you can see like she obviously like she got like the new hairstyle, which I think is really cool. They kind of slimmed her down. She got like a slimmer waist and stuff. Because I really appreciated it. And even though I didn't really like Captain Marvel. I thought Captain Marvel was a very average movie. But like her appearance in that movie and in Endgame, I like the more like stronger, like more bulkier, like more like kind of like a little bit more like masculine kind of look to her, because Carol Danvers in the comics, when it comes to Captain Marvel, is a very tough character. You know what I mean? So I'm hearing people like be debating that like they don't like that change, that like they kind of glammed her up to make her more approachable for audiences, I guess. The male gaze.
I don't think the world is quite ready for Butch Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
we already had a hard time with the first movie. I don't think they're ready for a second with like the like short hair and all that.
Yeah, because I love that look in Endgame. I love the short hair, like a little bit more like built look that she had in that movie. I love that look. But then the fact that they just went back to more of like a glam more more feminine approach. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but like I wish they just continued with that route with Captain Marvel, what they've established. But it still looks good though. I think it looks good.
I think this looks good. I like the design. I'm not like too picky about like what version of her they go with though,
Yeah, true. I'm curious to see like when we get do you think the movie will start? I hope the movie starts with Carol Danvers getting sucked in. Like the whole this happens in real time where Carol Danvers and Kamala trade places, and we have folks on Carol Danvers in Jersey City. I'm just curious how our parents are gonna react to this. Like, what if how Kamala's parents are gonna react to this?
I think it's gonna like open like Kamala's like off somewhere in space doing whatever. Then it cuts back to like Brie Larson just like eating like dinner at the family table.
That would be amazing.
And too, they would send her with leftovers.
That's true. But yeah, that I don't know. Like I'm excited. I'm not really a fan of the whole Captain Marvel movie. I thought I was average, but because
it's fine.
I love Spectrum in the comics, like Monica Rambeau. I love Kamala, obviously, from what you can tell. So I'm very excited to see those characters come back, even though the costume is different, but it's upsetting. But yeah, actually, I want to bring this up real quick because before we go on final thoughts, because do you remember episode 4 when we get the flash? I think when we get that flashback, when I think it was episode 4 or 3 where we see Aisha and Najma back during partition, where they find the bangle for the first time. We see a blue body attached to that bangle. So, theory time. Obviously, in that, obviously that person that wore the bangle that they found, they were Kree. I think they're clearly Kree.
Okay.
And maybe but the thing is, like, I don't know, like, I think they were Kree, but like, it doesn't make any sense because they clearly said the bangle comes from the Nord dimension, or did they even say the bangle came from the Nord dimension at all? Nah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, half of these episodes I was like watching while I was working, so I probably only caught like half of it anyway.
Yeah. So like.
We have a comment. Christian says hi.
Christian, hello. Hope you're enjoying Colombia. See, this is another first generation going back home to his roots. Attaboy. Yeah, but thanks, man. We appreciate it. Hope you're having a good time there. We're gonna do the boys when you get back, so be ready for that. Yeah, I'm not having a good time. Yeah. I assume that the person that was wearing it was Kree. The bangle, I think, either is one of the Nega bands, which is a Kree art, which is a part of like one of the most powerful things in Kree technology, right? It's so apparently brought forth the Nor abilities, the Jin abilities when Kamala put it on. Like that's my theory. So it might be the Nega bands from the comics. And it kind of makes sense why the Bengal would swap out Carol and Kamala if it's Kree technology, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's. I think it's Kree. So I think that makes sense. But my one thing that it kind of bothered me, and it could have been a fun Easter egg, and maybe it's tied to it. But did you notice that in that temple where they found the Bengal, did you notice that there was the insignia from the 10 rings was there? I don't know if you noticed.
No.
Yeah, no, that place they were standing on, they were literally standing on. Engraved on the floor was the insignia for the 10 rings.
Okay.
So I don't know if like they're also trying to maybe loosely tie the 10 rings to Kamala in some way. I don't know, but that's something I just want to address because it's never really it could just simply just be a fun Easter egg. Who knows? But yeah, that's all I got for that in terms of theories. Anything else you want to brush up on before we move on to the next topic, real quick, Rebecca, or no?
I'm good.
All right, so I added this last minute because I want to actually talk about this. But how do you feel about the whole reception of the series? Because right now the show has I think like a 98 on Rotten Tomatoes, from what I'm aware of. It's like the highest rated. It's the highest rated. I think Marvel property right now. Which is amazing on Rotten Tomatoes in terms of reviews. It's getting great reviews, which is great. But unfortunately, this show is one of the lowest rated shows. I think one of the lowest rated MCU Disney Plus shows, as
Rated
well
or
as
viewed?
in terms of views, like in terms of like show ratings, it's like the lowest viewed Disney Plus show on the streaming service in terms of like the MCU, and in terms of like the show ratings every single week, like the viewership, it has the lowest viewership in the top 10 list. Unfortunately, it's at the bottom. So like people are watching First Kill more than they're watching this. I actually saw First Kill was above Miss Marvel.
You know what? I'm not gonna knock First Kill in this one though, because even though it has a rough first episode, it does get better.
First Kill is gold. I think it's shitty gold in my opinion. You know,
it's camp.
It's camp. But yeah, like, so what are your thoughts on this reception? Because in my opinion, like, because I feel like the problem is in terms of like the viewership. Because Moon Knight, unfortunately, was it when it first started, it also got very low viewership. It wasn't trending on Twitter, none of that, right? Until later on, towards the end, that's when it started getting some viewership and it was trending, right? Some good viewership and it was trending. I think in terms of Disney Plus shows going forward, and Moon Knight and Miss Marvel as an example, because these are introductions to new characters that people are unfamiliar with, those are going to be a lot less viewed than like the shows that we got that already had established characters in it. So like WandaVision, Loki, Falcon Winter Soldier, those characters already had people already familiar with.
Yeah,
right?
People already invested in them.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
so what are your? Yeah.
Here's the other thing too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Disney like meant to screw Miss Marvel over, but they kind of did. So first of all, like you're saying, this new character, and there's also before this Moon Knight and like all these other shows, people who aren't super into Marvel probably aren't going to watch them all, and people who are watching Marvel are going to get marveled at some point. Like I've said this before, I'm still going to watch like all the shows, but I'm a little tired of how they're coming like right after the other, and then you got the movies too on top of that. So when this came out while Kenobi was still running, which didn't help. And then while this was running, Thor also came out. And then right after this, we have She-Hulk coming out.
That's true.
It's like
It's a lot.
there's no breathing room for the show to stand on its own, you know?
That's true. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, that's a very good point to make. And it's just like, you know, yeah, like it didn't have it had a lot going against it, you know, to making it stand out. But granted, a lot of these Disney Plus shows were like in my opinion, like there were always something in the way that like either made it like not trend for a bit or like made it like, you know, the viewership a bit low. But in terms of like, you know, Miss Marvel, and I guess also you want to count Moon Knight as well, because it's just they had a lot in the way, you know, I think. And unfortunately, we live in a world where not some Marvel fans are not going to like the fact that a Pakistani Muslim superhero is getting the spotlight, is getting their own show in the Marvel universe. Yeah. So like that also had it going against it, unfortunately. But that's unfortunate. That's how society is now. So that's not, you know. But
like the thing is, like those people were never gonna watch this anyway. You know, they just weren't. So that's not. I wouldn't consider that like lost viewership.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
The other thing too is like our friend Matt. I know he hasn't seen Moon Knight and like a bunch of other like shows too. He's probably not going to start this one without like having watched the other ones first, you know?
That's true, yeah. But I would also would say you can, because in terms of like
you can Moon watch Knight, this on your own, but if you're like into Marvel, you want to see them all like at some point.
But I feel like you could, if you want to watch them like in order, you could. But also like I feel like with some of these shows, like, you know, in terms of the Disney Plus shows, they kind of stand on their own pretty well, except for maybe WandaVision, because WandaVision directly tied into Doctor Strange. So like, you know, but like, you know, Falcon, Loki, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, you can pretty much watch them like out of order, and it still works, because we're not going to get follow-up projects for a while. I mean, maybe Miss Marvel, because Miss Marvel is going to be in the Marvel, so I guess you kind of have to watch that relatively sooner, because, you know, we're going to get a movie next year. But yeah, like, you know, and also like in terms of these Disney Plus shows, a lot of these Disney Plus shows, into my opinion, because the fact that like they're trying to be 6 hour movie, they're 6 hour movies cut up into 6 episodes every week. So like sometimes the storytelling isn't the best it could have been, in terms of like, you know, if it was an 8 episode series like WandaVision, or like a 12 episode series like, you know, like the Netflix, or 12 or 13 episodes like it was like Daredevil, or Daredevil Defenders stuff. So that kind of has it going for it. And sometimes it seems a bit rushed and all that, which kind of shows. But yeah, I don't think this. You're right. It had a lot going against it, in terms of the viewership. Also, like another thing I want to bring up, because I'm gonna have to deal with this on Sunday when I have to do a shameless plug, do the Zion Variety Show on Sunday with my boys Sean and Mose. So if you have an Instagram, check out the Zion Variety Show on Instagram at the Zion Network, because I'm on that show as well. We have a section called the Fandom Zone, and I'm giving you all a sneak peek, because we already talked about this in our meeting we had a few days ago. They're putting Miss Marvel in the Fandom Zone. The Fandom Zone is the stuff that we want to forget, because it's so bad that like we want to put it in the Fandom Zone and forget about it. So like, for example, Thundercats Roar's on there. I'm not a Thundercats person, so I don't care about Thundercats, but they put Thundercats on there. Morbius is in there. You know, stuff like that. If you get the whole gist of what I'm talking about. They said they were going to put Miss Marvel on there. And the biggest thing about it is like, Miss Marvel was clearly made for a younger audience, right? So like teens, people who are our age, right? Or so like in like their early 20s. Young adult, exactly. So the fam on the Zion Network, no disrespect, they're in their like late 30s to early 40s. So like they don't like the show at all. I think it's very CW, very dumb in terms of like, because they said it's clearly made for kids, which is why we want to put it in the Fandom Zone. But that's the thing, like that's the thing though. Like they weren't hiding the fact that, like, Marvel wasn't hiding the fact that this is made for young adults, right? This is the target we want to hit.
I don't want to pull that card, but I'm going to pull that card. It's also a girl, and it's not super action heavy. It's not going
Exactly.
to be for everyone. That's okay if it's not for you.
Yeah,
But
it's true.
like,
It's not. Yeah.
it's not bad. Like, I still think every MCU show has had like problems that stop me from saying like this is like the best show ever, you know? But
Uh-huh.
like, it's not a bad show for what it
It's not a
is.
bad
It
show.
has a lot of good moments.
I honestly think this is my favorite show out of them all. Like in terms of what we've seen, you know, in terms because of how. We'll turn up final thoughts, but I think it's kind of unfair that like, and the thing is like when I was at Blurred Con recently as well, the artist I was hanging out with, we mentioned Miss Marvel. One of the artists said that like Miss Marvel sucks because it's meant for pubescent is meant for pubescent teenagers, and look straight to me. It's like you probably love Miss Marvel, don't you? I'm like, yes, I love Miss Marvel. You know, so I just think there's gonna be that disconnect in viewership. Like adults are not gonna really like this just because it's clearly made for a younger audience, and you obviously mentioned as well because she's a woman and it's a woman-led show, so it's like, yeah. But I said this, I'm gonna defend the fuck out of that show when we do that segment on Sunday for sure. But yeah,
You're
so
just
any
too
other
old to get it.
exact. I'm gonna go off. I might hurt some feelings. That's kind of the only thing I'm gonna bring up. But any other thoughts you want to say on the reception or anything that you want to talk about or anything that comes to mind or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You're gonna like make me angry.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
sorry.
here's
I don't
the
want.
thing.
I don't want to piss you off, but
Here's the
yeah.
thing too. Like, I feel like they toned down like how cringy she was in the comics. Because I said
Oh,
this
this is way worse.
last episode too. Like in the comics, she's learning like fan fiction about superheroes and like everything. Like in the comics, she's cringy, and like that's okay. You know, that's part of
That's
her
true.
like
Yeah.
spiel. But
Mm-hmm.
like in this, she's really likable and like she's like quirky, but she's not like too quirky. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. They do a really good job of like balancing that, and also having that work with like her character arc and her progression in the story. They could have easily hammed it out and crammed that and do fangirl left and right. They could have easily done that and made it worse. But you
And
know they.
and at the end of it too, like you got to think, we're all sitting around watching like superhero shows. They're all stupid in their own ways when you like think about it, you know.
That's so true. But yeah, that's all I gotta say on the whole reception. I don't think it's fair, but you know, it is what it is. You know, I love this show, so fuck what everyone else thinks. Uh, but yeah, so we're gonna go to Rebecca, the good stuff. Final thoughts. So, what are your final thoughts on the show? Anything you wanna to get off your chest in terms of the show, or like anything we haven't mentioned that you wanna to say real quick, or not?
Yeah. Final thoughts, just to sum it up. I think this is a good show. I think there are a lot of good moments. I don't think it's perfect. I think the villains drag it down. But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I think it's pretty solid. I would say out of 10, I'd give it like six and a
Thing is,
half.
Damon's gonna be pissed, so you have to do it out of 7.
All right. What's the conversion rate?
I don't remember.
I guess out of 7, it would be kind of like a 4.
Okay, got you. For me, again, I love the character. So I love this character. I love the Iman Vellani's performance. We already addressed. We're very excited for her and this opportunity she's given. She's killing it, I think, and I'm looking forward to seeing her in more stuff and her interaction with other Marvel characters later on in the MCU. The writing, for the most part, is pretty solid, even though there are some moments where like some continuity stuff doesn't make any sense. We've addressed that already in terms of like the Jinn and all that stuff. Sometimes the writing can be a bit weak and corny at times. But I think it's very everyone that shows up has a pretty good arc, except for the clandestines. The interaction with the family is incredible. The interaction with their friends are incredible. Obviously the representation in terms of Pakistani culture and Muslim culture is incredible. Is incredible. And I love the fact that they did not hold back at all. You know, the power set, her being growing into her own character as a superhero is great. Yeah, and again they really did a good job of respecting the source material, doing a great job of homaging and trying to do the best they could with trying to adapt the comics as best as they could and do a little bit of changes here and there. I love that. And yeah, man, I think the show is oh, someone calling?
Yeah,
Is
I'm getting invited to play Minecraft. Hold on a second.
okay, hold on, I'll mute you for a second. But yeah, it's dope. I think I would give this out of 10 because I'm not gonna convert, Rebecca. You know me, I don't do math. I'm gonna convert. I'm gonna say it is a 7.5, maybe an 8. Fuck it, we'll do an 8. I don't care. We'll do it. We'll give it an 8 out of 10 because I think this is my favorite show. I think this is the strongest one out of them all. And also shout out to the creator of the show. I think yeah, I forget the name of the creator, but I think his name Balan K Ali. I think they did a good job, as well as the two directors who Bisha K Ali did a great job with the show overall, as well as the two directors that directed Bad Boys for Life. Again, I always forget their names, man. But the directing duo who directed some of the episodes, they did a great job because I think for the cinematography for the most part was pretty solid. And the cinematography was pretty good. It kind of faded a bit towards the end, just slightly, yeah. Bilal Fallah and Adil El Arbi, that director did a great job with the episodes they were given. They're especially the first episode. I love the first episode in terms of directing. But yeah, I think this is really good. Like 7.5, 8, 8. So what would that be out of 7, Rebecca? Do you use your computer science brain to convert for me, please?
I did the math. An 8 out of 10 would be a 5.6 out of 7.
Facts. So overall, I think this is definitely gives the Indie Corner seal of approval for sure. If you haven't watched the show already, watch the show. Watch it. It's out. All episodes are on Disney Plus. If you have Disney Plus, use other means. I'm not going to mention them because I don't want to get in trouble. So yeah, it's a good show. Check it out. What's it called? Rebecca, do you have? I want to do maybe like a quick recommendations thing. Do you have anything you want to recommend for that you've either seen or read or whatnot? Or
no, I'm not prepared with anything.
Gotcha. Okay, I don't have anything either. I just wanted to plug a little recommendations thing to see if you had any recommendations for people. But also, fucking no, you know what? I will say this. I have one recommendation, and I said this the last episode. Read the Miss Marvel comics. Read the G. Willow Wilson and Alfonso Alcina run. Like that run is incredible. Like read the Miss Marvel comics. I'm actually gonna start collecting the trades for them because I want some trades with this. But yeah, man, this show's great. Watch the show, people. Check it out. It's good stuff. But yeah, man. I guess we'll close it out here. So yeah, I'll give the whole spiel. So yeah, thanks for the people that were watching. Well, basically Christian. Thanks for Christian for watching, and for the people that will watch this, we appreciate it. Look out for more videos in the future. We may do a review for Thor: Love and Thunder. We're not really sure yet. At that point, we'll maybe have more. We're definitely gonna go back to doing books because we haven't really done a book discussion podcast in a while. So we're gonna the next podcast we do is definitely gonna be a book for sure. A book or a review of Thor: Love and Thunder. We'll see. Comment, like, subscribe. If you have watched Miss Marvel, put your thoughts in the comments. What did you like? What was your favorite moment from what was your favorite episode? What was your favorite moment? What do you expect to see out of Miss Marvel going forward in terms of the MCU? Which you want to react with the Young Avengers when the Young Avengers happen? You want to react with the Avengers? I don't know. What do you expect to see her in the Marvels? We want to know your thoughts and your theories. Like, whoa, what do you think about her being a mutant? Put that in the comments and shit. And yeah, man, just keep looking out for more content. Rebecca, thanks for doing this with me. Again, you're always there to hold it down, and I appreciate it so much. So
someone's got to respond in the group chats.
Exactly. See, you're a real one, and I love it. And yeah, so we'll catch y'all later, people. All right, get home safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.